So we're talking about prospecting today, and it was a great day in the office, a lot of energy. We had Gary Vaynerchuk by today, and he was giving, he was dropping some bombs here and there, and we were talking about the tortoise versus the hare, and he's like, dude, you got to be both. And I thought that was a great way to tie into prospecting because, look, the truth is if you rely only on traffic that comes to you, you're going to limit your business, right? At some point you got to figure out, hey, how can we go expand this thing? If we had to eliminate our ad budget tomorrow, how would we go get business? And it's not just about making 50 phone calls and then calling it good. It's about making the right 50 phone calls and having the right data and information, so to back your salespeople up so they can be successful when they're making those outbound prospecting calls. So today's webinar is about what you can do to start creating your own business as a salesperson, as a manager, some things that you can, tips that you can provide for your people, but really more or less like where do I find this stuff in the platform and what expectations should I have of my people if I actually want them to be successful in prospecting. Now, prospecting has a couple different dimensions, right? It has the actual activity of picking up the phone and making the call, but what's the reason for the call? How many times does the call get made? What are you saying on each of those ensuing calls that's different and creative and fun so that we're not repeating the same call over and over and over again? So prospecting and follow-up start kind of intertwining together. And you can start using some data that we know really well about follow-up. 80% of transactions happen between the 5th and the 12th attempt. 48% of salespeople never make one follow-up attempt. So after the initial interaction, they never even make a follow-up touch. So you got to start applying some of this data into what you're doing as a prospecting activity. So tip number one that I want to give you, prospecting has to be something that you do every single day. Now, what does that mean? That means that you have to find time throughout every day, and I'm not talking about 5 calls or 10 calls. I'm talking about some activity, something that enough outflow that will actually generate some response, right? So you've got to commit to it every single day. It's got to be a part of every single person's day, and I'm sure it's no secret to you. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. Your top salespeople are always the one that eventually build their own networks and pipelines, and the guys that all they're doing is working appointments and referrals. They're not even taking fresh customers or fresh leads or fresh ups or whatever the case may be. They're people who actually have gone out and built something within your business. But in order to do that, your team has to understand that this is something that's expected and required. Prospecting is actually senior to selling because your people spend more time prospecting than they do selling. You sell 1 or 2 units or products or whatever throughout the day. I mean, you still got the majority of the day to do something, right? Now, what does prospecting mean? Does that mean waiting for people to show up? Does that mean we're, walking into the service department or, what does that mean for you? That's really what we need to define for your people is, hey, what are we doing every day? What does it look like? And what are the expectations? So aside from doing it every day, you have to have a target. And you have to have a target that is unrealistic. Have a target that your people fail to hit every day, but have it be 100 calls a day, not 20. If your people are going to fall short, have them fall short going for 100 calls, not 10 or not 15. And our business, reaching out to you, the client, our business is prospecting. Our business is going out to find something, to create something out of nothing, because most of y'all ain't thinking about us when we call you, okay? Otherwise, you would have called us, right? So like our business is all about continual outflow. And so the expectation here is, we're talking 150, 200 phone calls out every single day. Top guy will make 400 calls a day. I mean, it's literally mind-boggling how much outflow is required to get people to respond. So what are your daily targets, Do you have a target that you set kind of arbitrarily just so you give your people something that you leave at the end of the day thinking, they made their 20 calls or their 25 calls. Dude, 25 calls is nothing. I mean, how long would it take you to make 25 calls if you had a list of 25 people in front of you? Back to back to back, you could probably knock the phone calls out in an hour, maybe less. Okay, so what can we do to maximize time? It all starts with expectations. What is a target? A good target, a freaking meaty target that might actually produce something. Because the reason your people hate prospecting is not because prospecting doesn't work. It's because they don't do enough of it consistently enough and persistently enough for it to pay off. Same thing with training. Looking at your reports going, man, my people aren't training. It's because they haven't trained enough, consistently enough, persistently enough to actually see a result. You know, if you showed me an ATM machine that gave out free money, when I saw the win, dude, I'd keep coming back to that thing, pulling money out of the ATM. And that's what training and prospecting are. You keep showing up to that ATM, eventually it breaks, it starts spitting free money out. Prospecting, you keep persisting at the action long enough, eventually, dude, you might start getting free money. Okay, but maybe free money only comes after you've had 25 attempts, and your people are giving up at 2. So that's why I said it has to be something that you commit to over a long period of time, and just understand that outflow equals inflow. Outflow in volumes and quantities high enough will eventually lead to inflow. So what does that outflow look like for you other than spending money to promote? Like, let's try to find some cost-effective ways. So what are some areas that we can actually prospect? Where are some rich prospects? And then do your people know how to make those calls? And when I say prospecting, I don't mean cold calling, because we just developed that content too. I mean creating warm market opportunities, people that know you, people that trust you, people that want to see you do well, people that have bought from you in the past. Okay? Maybe people that have bought from you in the past and the salesperson is no longer employed. Maybe people that are, in service, getting their product service, right? You walk back there, you say hello, hey, we've got a deal going on right now. We can get you out of the vehicle you're in now and something brand new with, no money out of your pocket and lower your monthly payments. That's something you might be interested in. Bing. Now we're starting to dip back there in the service drive. And the most successful dealers that we talk to now are actually trying to maximize all those areas. Some of the bigger stores in the country have sales managers and teams inside of the service department primarily because, dude, people got something that's broken there. It's got something that's broke. They're probably thinking, man, I can get a new one of these for $299 a month. I'm paying $400 right now, right? So it's about keeping your eyes open and understanding how those calls actually sound. So there's 4 areas that I want to cover with prospecting. Number 1, past customers. People that have done business with you in the past. That call that I use, that service drive call, works the same way for people that are they've owned their vehicle for 2 or 3 years. Hey, this is Jared from the dealership. We've got a special going on. It's a loyalty program we have for existing customers. We'd like to show you how to get out of your vehicle now, okay, that you're driving now, that's 3 years old, that's getting ready to run out of manufacturer's warranty. We'd like to show you how to get out of your vehicle and into something brand new with 0 money out of pocket, and we can actually lower your payments. Now, if somebody's owned their vehicle for 3 years, they probably got a little bit of equity hanging around. So that's somebody brings you, $4 or $5 grand in equity. That's a deal you can do, right? So look, you might even be able to put cash back in their pocket. I don't know. But we just got to understand, hey, past customers, what's the pitch, what's the script? Second most popular call that we get in retail is the orphan owners, people who've bought stuff from you and they don't have a salesperson attached to them. These are great calls for the BDC department to make, great calls for new salespeople to make, right? Hey, I'm the new guy. Just want to call and introduce myself. We've got a program right now for folks just like you, where we can take you out of the vehicle that you're driving today, get your payments lowered, maybe even put some cash back in your pocket. Is that something you might be interested in? So it's about making the action outflow long enough to where it actually pays off. It's like fishing, right? You ever been fishing? You throw one line in the water. I mean, who's going to catch more? You throw 1 line in the water or you throw 50? And most of your salespeople, again, they just don't understand how much work it takes to get it done. You guys seen that little image where the one guy's, he's digging underground, he's like a miner and he's digging, and he's almost dug the hole all the way to this big massive diamond, but he quits and he turns around and he's walking back because he's like, when's it coming? And he doesn't know when it's coming, and he quits. So past customers, orphan customers. Number 3, service customers. We talked about that a little bit. Number 4, the power base. This is where everybody should get started. Now, a lot of emphasis in sales gets put on selling, and not enough emphasis gets put on how can we create customers. And most sales organizations do a good job of teaching people how to sell, but they don't do a good job of teaching people how important prospecting is every day. In our office, we don't teach them anything about selling a product. We give them a list of names and we say, start making cold calls, get hung up on, feel what it feels like to make 150 phone calls. Feel what the rejection feels like of somebody telling you, cussing you out and telling you, all kinds of nasty things that we can't repeat on the show, right? I mean, that's what we try to do first, because that activity is so vital to what we do here that if they can't do that, none of the other stuff matters. We can teach people how to sell, but you can't teach people that hustle and that push to actually go out and create something. So I just encourage you, make that your first priority. Tell the new people, get the high call volumes, help them with a script so they can at least have a track to run on, but don't get caught up in mechanics. Just have them duplicate the script and go through the rejection and make the calls and do the work. Get that muscle built in so that 6 months from now we're starting to build on a substantial foundation with somebody. So and everybody has their own prospecting strategies and ideas. These are the most common. These 4 are the most common. But you've got to have a script for them. It has to be trained on daily. You've got to enforce it daily, right? The bottom line is you have to have a plan. You have to have a script. You have to have a target. It has to be consistent. You have to build in the discipline so that your people understand that their job is to hunt for new business, not to sit in their office or at their desk and wait for people to come in and take orders. And if you can build that culture in, and if you can drive that change in your people, you're going to reap the benefits of it as a manager.